Holly Springs is a small town defined by its rich and varied history. Resident of Holly Springs, Lois Swaney Shipp is known by everybody in town for her love of history and her southern charm.
I adore history. You don't like history. It is the greatest thing, and history repeats itself. We need to learn from history what to do and what not to do.
Lois knows everybody in town, including Fox anchorman Shepard Smith.
I know his life story and everything. I know stories about his mother and his daddy and his grandmother, everything else. I know his history about me does.
Lois and her first husband left Holly Springs for a few years to travel the United States.
We lived in Louisiana. We lived in Michigan. We lived in 16 states. But I said, look, I gotta go home. I gotta go home to Holly Springs. I don't want, there's no place like it.
Lois returned to Holly Springs and wished to work, so she started the Marshall County Historical Museum, full of 40,000 artifacts related to Marshall County history.
I started the museum way back in 1970. And the reason I did, I went to Columbus to the pilgrimage, and there were all these artifacts from Holly Springs. And so I came home and I said, we gotta have a museum. Our treasures are going somewhere else.
Not only did Lois start the museum, but she also is the writer of 6 stories about the history of Holly Springs.
My daughter Georgia, who lives in the Walter place, said, Mama, you need to write a history of Holly Springs. And I said, I can't. It would be that thick and it would cost $500 and nobody would buy it. And she said, you'll think of something, but you write it because nobody else knows the history.
Lois is 87 years old and recently married her second husband, who is 93.
Well, listen, I met my husband at a funeral. We had a mutual friend to die. I said, okay, we can get married. But I said, I want a little bitty wedding. 600 people came to the wedding.